Hey, you guys. Hopefully, you can see me here. Coming back. Uh, Hope my phone doesn't fall over. Hey, you guys, coming back with another live video. In this video, really, what I want to talk about is not accepting cash and my way of dealing with checks. Okay, so this won't be a very long live video. Okay, but I did want to get this video out to you guys. So sorry about the video earlier. I'm in Flint, Michigan right now, so um, yeah, I'll give you guys a few minutes to kind of load in here. Give you just a few minutes here. If not, then I'll just go ahead and start and you guys catch up on the live. Let me see. All right, guys, let me go ahead and start. If you join in kind of late, then just go ahead and watch it from the beginning. But okay, so not accepting cash. I'm going to talk about why you shouldn't accept cash from your clients, and that's be it commercial or residential. You probably have an idea why you shouldn't, but I'm gonna go ahead and explain it, and I'm gonna give you guys just my perspective on ways that I handle checks. Okay, and it also help balance like your checkbook, like your receivables, right? So the way I like to do it, guys, and I've been doing it. I don't know what prompted me to do it this way from the start, but I've always done it this way. And over the years, I found it to be great with bookkeeping, being able to keep your numbers together, knowing for sure what your numbers are in terms of the checks that come in. Okay, so let's start with not accepting cash. Okay, sometimes I get asked all the time, Fabio, should I accept cash for maybe a post construction job, or should I accept cash for a residential cleaning job or even a commercial cleaning job? I would not accept cash. I know in theory people think like cash is king, which it is in most, but in this regard, you want to make sure you have a paper trail, right? You want to make sure you have a paper trail, okay? Because the thing is that a client can say that they paid you and they didn't pay you. A client can give you a portion of what was paid, and you wouldn't have no proof of them not paying you the whole thing or they paid you the whole thing, right? So you don't have any proof either way it goes. So again, I wouldn't accept cash. A lot of people actually do accept cash on residential cleaning clients. A lot of residential cleaning clients, they feel like it's just easier for them to go ahead and pay cash. The way I like to handle my residential cleaning clients is to accept credit cards, okay? Because a lot of them have credit cards for what they're buying in terms of just the service. It's not like it's going to be, a lot of times I'll put it this way, it's not like it's going to be a reoccurring service. A lot of residential clients, for whatever reason, they don't sign like contracts. They have you do it and it's like one and out, right? Unless you do it my way and you have reoccurring clients, right? But a lot of my residential clients, I always try to get them to bill it on the credit card, and they will if you suggest it. Okay, so if you guys want to know who I use for credit card processing, just email me at hollywoodjanitorialserve@gmail.com, and I'll go ahead and get that information. I just don't have the details by heart. I have to get that for you. Okay, but don't accept cash because, like I say again, they could pay you a portion of the money, and if someone owes you 200 bucks, right? And they say, here, I give you 100 now, and I owe you 100 bucks. You're probably going to be inclined to take the 100 bucks, right? And then you do the cleaning, or you give them an invoice for the remaining balance, and they'll be like, oh, I paid you the 200 bucks. I gave you the 200 bucks. You say, no, you didn't. You gave me 100. Well, you gave me $100. No, I gave you $200. I gave you $200. So now, if you go to court, it's their word versus your word. Okay, I don't see nobody going to court for 200 bucks, but I'm just using this as a hypothetical. If you went to court, it'd be your word versus their word. Now, a lot of times, the judge actually kind of like, you're the business guy or you're the businesswoman. How are you going to accept cash, right? how are you going to accept cash and not have any track record, not any trace of what was paid to you? Okay, so again, guys, like I said, um, for that reason alone, I damn sure wouldn't accept cash. Okay, for that reason alone. So, like I say, if you're gonna do this residential cleaning business, commercial cleaning business, don't accept cash. It's just harder to prove. In theory, like I say, it's good. If you needed the cash for the day, you're like, oh, I got paid cash. But in the long run, you don't want to make that a habit. Now, have I done it before? Yes, I have. Not now, but I have accounts or had accounts in the past where I accept cash. They're like, oh, we're just gonna pay you the cash. It's not that much. We're gonna pay you cash, and I took the cash, right? Deposited it in an account like I do everything else. Okay, but I didn't want to make that a constant thing because when someone pay you cash, is no proof. You can't prove that opposed to if you have a check, right? Now, speaking of checks, I'm gonna let you guys know exactly how I move in checks, dealing with checks. Okay. Now, we bill either on the 1st or the 15th, right? Depending on the client. A lot of my clients, or we bill, uh, um, upon the cleaning. Just like if it's a residential, right? So if we clean today, we can get paid today, right? That type of deal. So it's generally, or well, I guess we get paid different times because some of my apartment cleanouts we wing it out to a week, so it's due weekly, right? And then I have the biweekly accounts. Then I have which is the net 15. Then I have the net 30, right? So, but no matter how you get paid, like in terms of the net, if it's a 7 day period, if it's a 15 day period, 30 day period, and you're accepting checks, this is the way that I would suggest that you do it. It made sense to me in the long run. I don't know if I'm about the only one that does this, but every check that comes in, and like I said at the top of this video, every check that comes in, what I like to do is I like to photocopy the check before I even take it to the bank. Okay. So if there's any funds you know, that's missing, they might say, well, we gave it to you. It's on the check. We gave it to you. Number one is two ways you can track. You can track that. You can always pull your statements with your bank, right? And they'll show you what you deposit on what any given day. So that's one way that you can track it. Okay. But just to be on the safe side, I like to photocopy the check itself and file it. So the way I like to do it with my contracts is I like to have like a folder, right? Like I said, this is the way I started in the beginning, and I still kind of do it this way to this day. There's certain things that I did change over time, but this is a great filing system. So let's say I got client A, right? And it's a dentist office, whatever. Dentist client A. Okay. So I'll have a folder that say dentist client A. And then I say I have I don't know, factory B. Then I have a folder that say factory B, right? So when I make those photocopies of factory B, of dentist client A, when I make a photocopy of those checks, I'll just file them in those like vanilla folders, right? I'll put it in there and then I'll file it. That way, from year to date, I know, what they paid, the day that they paid it, everything is on that check. Okay. Another thing that I like to do with my checks is I don't like to go to the bank like multiple times because I get checks coming in from Georgia, they mail them into Toledo, checks from Toledo, right? People to still mail in, and obviously checks in Detroit or in Michigan. Everything happens out of my Toledo office, as I told you guys before, right? So what I like to do is I like to have those checks deposited all at one time if I can help it. Now, sometimes, like I say, here and there, you get a client to pay you late. Past the 5th day, it's late in my company. Okay, so we give you between the first and the fifth, the first and the 15th. We give you between the first and the 5th. Okay, after the 5th, you're late. Okay, and I do apply late fees. Okay, but like I say, I do photocopy every check that come in before I even take it to the bank. Okay, I don't care how much I really want to put this check in the bank. I don't care how big the check is. I'm gonna wait till I'm able to photocopy the check, and then we're gonna deposit the check in the bank. I just like to have a hardcore record of the check itself, okay, on just a photocopy, okay, and then I have it filed in the folder, okay. And this is, again, this is no matter where it is, whatever section, and it doesn't matter if it's Toledo, my people out there in Toledo are going to do it. It doesn't matter if it's Georgia, my people in Georgia are going to do it. So again, this is how I like to, this is how I put my system together. I found it working very, very well, especially for bookkeeping, right? So you don't necessarily have to guess when you got paid on what day and this and that. It'll most likely be on the check, or you can always hand write it on the check, date received, or day received, or whatever the case is. Okay, you write the day that you received it. Let's say the check is marked for the 5th. That's when you're supposed to, the 1st when you're supposed to get it, but let's say you get it on the 3rd. So on the photocopy right under the check, you can put received on 3rd, on the 3rd of whatever the month is, right? Again, guys, you want to kind of keep this paramount. Number one, this helps for tax purposes too, because if you ever get audited, you can always get all of this stuff, all of these, like these are receipts, so to speak, right? You can always get all your receipts together, right? And it also help align with your bookkeeping, right? So when you like me and you have different stuff working on autopilot, if I ever needed something, I can always have a check faxed over, or I can always have it sent over, via a carrier or whatever the case is. But everything goes into Toledo. I can always just double check with Toledo, make a phone call. Did we receive it? Did it come in? That's if they mailed it in. What date did we receive it on, etc., etc. Okay, so before it goes to any bank, that's exactly how I handle the check. Okay. Now, I do have multiple bank accounts. Okay, so I have a bank account in Georgia, business checking in Toledo, and I have business checking in Michigan. Okay, just in the event that I want to deposit check, I got 3 different ways in different banks that I could deposit the checks in, but everything normally just happen out of my Toledo area, right? So again, try to not force, but try to motivate your clients, commercial or residential, if you can help it. Try to motivate them to pay by credit card. Okay, try to have them, because see, if you use like the software program that I use and they pay by credit card, it would tell you the date that you processed it. Like you have a back office you can log into, you can print that out. Everything is just computer generated that way, right? So you will have all of that. And then once again, guys, you can always follow up with your bank, the date that it hit, the time that it hit the account, etc., etc. If you actually need the financials for the bank, like you can go and get the report, get a printout of that, and they will be able to supply you with that. Okay, like I say, this will help you with your taxes. This will help you just with your receivables as a whole, letting you know what you received, what you haven't received, the date you received it, the date that it hit the account, your business checking account. But see, if you got cash, then it'll be hard to do that, right? It'll be hard to do that. I mean, you can get cash, you might have it in your pocket for 2 days and put it in the bank the 3rd day. You may not put it in the bank at all, right? But like I say, cash is a pretty tricky, sorry guys, pretty tricky thing to deal with. I wouldn't personally suggest that you guys deal with the cash. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. Other YouTubers, other people might tell you, yeah, cash is no problem. And the cool thing about cash is really, you don't necessarily have to pay taxes on it, really, to be honest. Because if it's just cash, it's like considered like under the table. No one really knows you got it, right? And then for them, they're not paying, probably won't pay no tax on it anyway. They're just paying you cash, right? So again, I just like to have a paper trail with everything. Like I say in the beginning, I think maybe all of us commercial cleaners probably at some point receive cash, whether it's a commercial job or a residential job or whatever the case is. But I wouldn't suggest that you keep going with that. If you're accepting cash now, I would, send them an email or send them a letter that, for whatever purposes you want to tell them, right? For accounting purposes, whatever, that we have to receive a major credit card, or we would have to receive a check, right? And either way you go on that end, you'll be able to have a paper trail. Okay, so I just want this to make sense to you guys. Like I say, this is all part of putting your systems together. This will let you know when you got paid, the day you got paid. You can again keep details on all of that. Okay, so whether you have a software program that you're using to key everything in as far as your receivables, your receivables and even your payables, right? So if you're logging in into or keying in into a software program or a database that way, again, you still want to have a record of that, or whether you're doing it the old-fashioned way where you have a record keeping book, kind of like what I do. I do both ways. The record keeper book is more or less as a backup to what we have in the software. In the event, like I say, I'm a real big paranoia type of guy. So in the event something happened to the computers or anything crashes or software, just something happens, I have a hard copy to back up what was on the computer, right? Until I'm able to retrieve that or get that fixed or whatever the case, get it back up, whatever the case it is. Okay, so I like to do it that way. And like I say, it just make you feel good a lot of times too. Like for the IRS, if you're accounting, if you have an accountant or somebody that's handling your taxes or whatever, yes, it'll be a lot of paperwork for them, right? If you got a lot of contracts, but at least you got your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Okay, so you'd rather be safe than sorry. Okay, but if you receive cash, like I say, that's almost like a gift. It's almost a gift, right? You don't really have to claim that, so to speak, because no one really knows about it. No one knows that you really received it. So again, I just want to make that a habit. Some people might disagree with me. That's just my personal opinion, you guys. So again, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to entertain that. If you want to know who I use for credit card processing, I have several different companies, but I'll share with you the one that I use the most. Just email me. I can't think of it right now. I would want to give you guys the number, the address, all of that information, and you guys can kind of look into them if you decide that you want to use them. Also, people ask me about payroll. I'm sure I spoke about this many times. I use Paychex. Guys, I would suggest that you look into that, Paychex. Even if you don't get started right away, you can look at both Paychex and ADP if you want. Both of them is friendly. I think Paychex is more friendlier than ADP, rates wise too, in terms of what they charge. But I've heard a lot of people say, hey, they know ADP, they familiar with ADP, so they use ADP, and there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, for me, I just feel Paychex do what I need them to do, right? So either or. And Paychex is paychex.com. paychex.com. You can look them up. They have a video reel. You can call the number and speak to a representative. They personally set up a meeting where they come out, explain everything. They'll have a little on that little laptop. Bring their laptop. It got a demo. Show you how the back office work. Show you how you can log in. Explain everything to you. Right. They handle the checks too. So if you're going to do the paper checks, let's say with Paychex, you do the paper checks, it's going to cost you a little bit more because they mail the checks out. They use a courier and mail the checks out to you. So you got to pay for that postage. So when he told me it'd be a lot easier if we just do it direct deposit, then it made more sense for me and my company to do direct deposit. So my people, if they have a bank account, it automatically get deposited into their bank account. If they don't have a bank account, Paychex actually supply you with the check card that your employees could use to be able to get their paycheck on, right? So it make a lot of sense. Like I say, guys, just give them a look into, even if you don't decide to go with Paychex or you decide to go a whole another route. They handle the taxes. They hire your new hires. Paychex also do more than payroll services too. So you might want to utilize them for some other services that they have, right? So they do have like bundles and package deals type of things that you guys can go. But for whatever you want to use them for, you can use them. So I would suggest at the very least that you just look into it, even if you decide not to go through with them. Okay. So hopefully this video made sense, guys. Hopefully I explained it well. Again, this was about why I feel you shouldn't accept cash and how I deal with collecting checks. Okay. So just to recap, I suggest you don't accept cash, and I explain the reason why. Like I say, if you accept cash, and they can shorten you, right? They owe you $400. They give you two and say, I'm gonna give you two later. I'm gonna give you two tomorrow, and then that day come and you don't get the other $200. If you went to court for whatever reason, the judge would be more or less looking at you because you're the business person. They're gonna say, well, why wouldn't you accept a credit card, or why wouldn't you get a check from them? How do I know that they paid you 400? You understand? So it's going to be your word versus theirs. And again, the judge will probably look at you a little, especially if you're dealing with a residential person. Now, if it's business to business, same thing. You know, they probably be like, okay, a business paid you cash. Number one, why would a business want to pay cash? And then they'll be thinking, why would you even accept cash from a business? And you're another business, right? Why wouldn't you want to accept a check? You know, to maintain a record, to have a record of what you received and what you haven't received. So again, guys, that's the reason I say don't accept cash. And there's many other reasons why you probably shouldn't accept cash. If you're looking from it from the opposite end of the spectrum, you probably think cash is king in this regard. I'm gonna accept cash. Like I say, if you're doing it now and it's helping you get, you know, what you got to get done, you're in the startup process, they offered you cash, fine, just don't do it too long. At some point, you want to be able to accept a credit card from them or be able to accept a check from them. Okay. So hopefully this made sense. Like I say, this wasn't meant to be a real long live. I did want to get this out there because I do get asked a lot, or not a lot, but I do get asked. I have my fair share of people that ask me, Fabio, how do you feel about accepting cash? Right. And I'm sure I explained the check before. Like, that's how I deal with my checks. We photocopy the checks before they even go to the bank, and then I have a folder for each company, right? So yeah, we do a lot of accounts. I got a lot of accounts across the board, but I keep a record. I need to know exactly what we're being paid, what the receivables was, right, when it came in. Okay. Even same thing, at least if somebody's shorting you on a check and you're supposed to be paid $500 and they pay you $450, right? Then you have that in the check, you know, because you can always show the judge, let's say for an example, hypothetically, you can show the judge the agreement, that the agreement was that they were supposed to pay $500, and then they have 2 consecutive months where they missed and they've only paid you $450 or $350 or $330 or whatever like that, right? So eventually it's going to make up. I mean, it's going to stack up. I've had a situation like that early on when I first started like doing the YouTube videos, motivating you guys and telling you guys about it and telling you what I did. And I had somebody tell me that they kept getting short on their check. And they were like, it's starting to stack up now where they're owing a significant amount. And I'm like, well, why would you keep cleaning? But it was happening. And they just eventually did wind up getting that money. They did have to go through a court proceeding, a court situation, but they wound up getting that money. And the reason that they, was due that money is because they had the proof that this is what they were supposed to get paid, and this is what they got paid. Okay, so again, that's why I say try to steer away from cash, guys, if you can. If you're accepting it now, cool. Just don't make it long term. Try not to get too entwined with that. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm in Flint, Michigan right now, so checking on business and different things like that. So, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. If you have any further questions, you can always email me at hollywoodjanitorialserve@gmail.com, hollywoodjanitorialserve@gmail.com. I'm Fabio Hart, the only person that could ever stop you from starting up your own dreams and making it to the top. Is you. Take care.